Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Bluedragonfive here.
And Jacob Wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney+.
And tonight, we discuss the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6. From the desert comes a stranger.
Yes, and joining us on our merry panel, on our merry menagerie and assortment, we have the fantastic filmmaker himself, the man who answered the oh so pertinent question, whatever happened to Mace Windu? It's Chris.R. Notarile.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
So, Chris, we're glad to have you on the on the recap show. It's been a while. I think last time you were on was indeed the Loki. Were the Loki recaps?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, Chris, since we haven't had you on yet for this season, I just figured we'd kind of start and just kind of ask you what has your experience been with the Book of Boba Fett up to this point? Like how have you been feeling about the episodes and the show as a whole? Because a lot of people have opinions. I'm very interested to know what your opinions are.
I've been enjoying the show so far. I really I remember when The Mandalorian came out, and then I was seeing all the visual effects, and I fell in love with the technology that they're using for this, specifically the projected backgrounds that they're doing now. It's just amazing. I can't tell where the CGI begins and ends in some shots, and I love that aspect of it. And seeing that continue with the Book of Boba Fett. Also, I really enjoy that the theme, the genre of the show is nothing like The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was a space western, and Boba Fett is basically a mafia show. And I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically Space Sopranos.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe there's a place more treacherous than New Jersey, one could say.
Right. No, Tatooine, man. Mos Eisley is definitely the Jersey City of space.
Yep, wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Now, more Newark. I'm going to say Newark. It's the Newark of space.
Yeah.
There's actually a Newark in Ohio, too.
That's weird when that happens. I think there's like a Hollywood, Florida, and like a Manhattan beach in California, a Long Beach in Long Island. Like, make up your mind, guys. One of each.
Like there's like 5 Londons in the entire world.
Enough of that.
There's an Athens in Ohio too.
Yeah, we keep just giving everyone the same name. It becomes less special, There's like one of each.
All right, let's get off of our city names for a moment.
Yes. So yeah, also let me highlight some of our commenters real quick. Of course, we have Tiki, who was unable to be with us tonight, but he's kind of with us in spirit in the comments here. He says he's thanking Mr. Notarile for filling in, joining our panel tonight.
What's up?
We got the Great Atomic Beast and our old pal Super Billy. Yeah. All right. So, Jacob, how did you feel about this episode?
I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, as the description mentions, we barely got to see Boba Fett in this episode after he wasn't even in the last episode, and now he only was just standing there at the end in this one.
It took till the rewatch to realize, yeah, he doesn't even say anything in this episode. He just stands there.
Yeah, he lets basically Fennec and Mando do all the talking.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't think that's really necessarily entirely a bad thing. I mean, he's like the one in charge, so it's not really. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
However, I do wish if he's not saying anything, could he wear the helmet just in the shots where he doesn't say anything? I mean, just to kind of homage the old days. But yeah, anyway, I'm sorry, Jake. Please continue.
I think Tamor just wanted to get his paycheck. So he was just like, no, I'm not wearing the helmet for this one, guys. You cut me out of the last episode.
Yeah, he's probably peeved about that one.
I feel that the show switching gears like that, I think that's okay. Only because they had spent so much time doing dual stories for Boba with his flashbacks in the first, what was it, like 3 episodes? 4 episodes?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, the first 4 episodes, you're getting everything from him crawling out of the Sarlacc to, where he currently is now. And so we basically got double story on him. But then you got to figure out, okay, would it be better to just have Mando randomly just show up on Tatooine and be like, hey, join our crew? Or do we want to get the story of how he got there? Because that was, first off, episode 5 was an awesome episode. Don't get me wrong. And then in this episode, too, seeing the follow-up, seeing Cad Bain, like, the hell, man?
Cad Bain was like...
Cad Bain, thank you, Cad Bain. That motherfucker right there. That was awesome.
I know. I was so happy when he spoke and it was Corey Burton. I was so, oh my God, I got him.
When I first saw him, I just saw the figure. I was like, "Who could that be?" Then I saw the hat. I was like, "Is that Cad Bain?"
I said the same thing. I'm like, they're not. Like, all right, cool. They're doing it.
I was like, "Is that Cad Bain?" And then like he saw the blue face and then the voice like, "It is Cad Bain." Like I watched it with my parents and they didn't watch Clone Wars, so they had no idea who I was talking about.
I like that much like Hondo, Cad Bane's getting around. I want to say he pops up in all the animated shows, because I believe Filoni's involved. Filoni is involved in all the animated
Well, did
shows.
Filoni create him?
I'm assuming so, yes, I believe.
Well, then that's probably it. And I believe Filoni directed this episode too, so who better than to bring him in?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like so far, ever since season 2, because I guess it wouldn't make much sense. She just kind of popped up in season 1, like the big signature. How if Filoni directed an episode, he put his big character in Ahsoka,
and he puts in a fan favorite.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, with of course Boba Fett kind of showing up in the Western episode we had.
Yeah, and Ahsoka showing up in last season of Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So I mean, I guess I'm cool with it. I feel that it was a nice little side plot, which is Mandalorian heavy, but also at the same time it greases the wheels for Mandalorian season 3. We're not gonna just come in and be like, okay, what the hell is going on? And unlike the CW and the DCEU, they only get like maybe 3 crossovers a year, and rather than characters coming and going as they please, it's like we have to do the annual team up episode where our stories completely stop and we do this mega story together. We may reference something going on in our story, but then immediately we forget about it. We move on. I hate that.
Yeah. All right. So,
well, yeah, it's like I had to explain who Cad Bain was to them. Like he's like only like one of the most ruthless bounty hunters in all of the Clone Wars. And the fact that they got Corey Burton back to do his voice was icing on the cake.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes of Clone Wars. I mean, because so many seasons of that, it's kind of hard for me to kind of pick out some of the old timers. The one that always comes to mind for me is the hostage episode, where he kind of takes Padme and the rest of the senators hostage to trade for, I believe, Zero the Hutt. I think that's the one. Yeah, it was always kind of a fun one. I don't know if that was the introduction to Cad Bain or not, but it was a big early one for Cad Bain. It was just really cool to see him. So every time he subsequently appeared, it's like, yeah, I remember back in the day, because I dropped off the Clone Wars after the first season, maybe the first half possibly, because again, it was just at the time. I think had I stuck with it, I would have really gotten into the groove with it. I want to say that's kind of the thing with Clone Wars with some people. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe it's just me, where it just kind of takes you like a bit to really kind of get, okay, so it's less kind of like an episode by episode thing, more like the grand whole that they're building, and kind of just being in that world and kind of seeing it flourish and the new characters getting introduced and all that. But just he had such presence in building up, like, okay, this is like the basically the coolest bounty hunter, second to Boba Fett. Only difference is we actually get to spend a lot more time with Cad Bain, which now we've been kind of remedying with Boba Fett, slowly but surely.
Now, question: who played him physically? Was that also Corey, or was that
that was so Corey Burton? But I guess he did like the looping, or like he did the voice for it, and they had. Okay. They had like a physical actor whose name escapes me at the moment, but he, again, seeing him, the fact that we saw him in live action, again, I'm pretty sure that is like it's a makeup and a suit performance.
No, it definitely was. It's definitely makeup in a suit, not CG. I could easily tell that, but it was really good makeup.
Yeah. The one thing I'm wondering if they're going to do next episode, like his big signature thing was the toothpick. I wonder if they're going to give him the toothpick next episode. It's a small thing. I'm just
I mean, it is kind of like he was like an evil space Lee Van Cleef kind of character, so it kind of So the toothpick kind of has to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get if we see him at like a bar or a cantina or something.
Honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of it for the longest time with this show, but I've always kind of expected Cad Bain, given like he's kind of been paired up against this guy for a while, to appear in the Obi-Wan show, which is not off the table given Cad Bain's frequent kind of appearances and things. But
I'm pretty sure if he shows up in Obi-Wan, he's gonna die because we can't kill Obi-Wan. So
Yeah, which obviously would present problems here if he gets killed off there. So probably, maybe not. So it makes a lot more sense to put him in here.
Yeah. Put him somewhere where he's not going to screw around with the characters who make it to future movies.
I wonder if in Obi-Wan they'll kill Darth Maul again.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he is basically, outside of Darth Vader, like Obi-Wan's nemesis.
Oh, for sure.
And after all, he's the one who bisected him.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's see. I'm trying to process some of our comments here and see how we can kind of spin that here. Okay, so Tiki in the comments says Cad Bane is probably the thing that's going to get me finally, deep into the Filoni-verse through the animated Star Wars shows. Which, yes, Cad Bane is absolutely that would be kind of like the gateway, one of the gateway characters.
He's definitely one of the coolest villains.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put it out there. If anybody ever makes a Cad Bane mask and you paint it green, you got a pretty good Sleepwalker costume to start with.
That's a good point.
They could be related.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a distant cousin. You don't know. It's a wide-spanning galaxy. But yeah, from what I understand about Cad Bane, I believe, Jacob, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more than I, but it was the season, basically Clone Wars, it was essentially preempted, then we kind of brought it back to give it an actual closure with season 7. There was like this, I believe, like a deleted scene or a deleted episode in which they were going to pay off, Boba Fett and Cad Bane's story, in which Boba Fett would have killed Cad Bane, but thankfully, that didn't fully happen, so we can have Cad Bane alive through all the other subsequent appearances and, well, mainly here.
Maybe we'll get it in this one.
That's what I'm saying. So when I heard that, I was always like, it would be so cool if he shows up in this show after I was kind of slowly but surely kind of realizing, we're going to bring in other bounty hunters. Cad Bane could possibly appear. I love that in this episode, everyone, myself included, we were expecting like perhaps when we're gathering all the forces for Boba Fett's kind of army here, it's like perhaps we'll see your Dengars and your
IG-88.
Well, again, I think he's technically dead. I mean, I don't know how canonized it goes because like a deleted scene in Empire, but we blasted him or whatever. But the point being that you have like your Bosk and Dengar and stuff. Some people said Simon Pegg he wants to play Dengar, so maybe that could happen. But anyway, so all of those, I mean, it'd be great if we could work in Cad Bane somehow, but to fully go like, okay, Cad Bane not only in here, but apparently tracking their history. Your big prize fight, Cad Bane versus Boba Fett, because he kind of mentored Boba Fett, and apparently in that deleted scene, I hear, like in some sort of lore somewhere, responsible for denting the Boba Fett helmet. It's a pretty big.
So you think it was him that also shot Boba Fett in the dick? Because he's got a dent down there too.
It's a good point.
I'm just saying, think about it. That would really make him pissed. It's like, you shot me in the head and the dick. I want to kill you.
Well, maybe the dent in the dick came from when he was writing Beast 10 times the Rancor's size.
He's wearing Beskar. There's no beast that's gonna dent your dick when you're writing it if you're wearing Beskar.
Well, technically, then I don't think Cad Bane could either.
Whoever gave him the dent went double, and they were spiteful about it too, because they shot him in the head first and then the dick. You don't shoot in the dick first and then the head.
Chris, let me ask you something. Have you ever built a Boba Fett costume? Because you sound really knowledgeable about like where exactly all the dents are. Because I gotta be honest, I've only paid attention to like the head dent. I never actually
No,
paid
but I
attention to
caught a
any
good
others.
video that really, I think it was Kevin Smith who pointed that one out. He's just like, someone shot this man in the dick at some point. If you just take a close enough look at the armor.
Well, he got around in those pre-Sarlacc years. You know, some
I'm just saying
people.
it'd be really funny if it was Cad Bain. Then that would really amp up your climax. It's like he shoots him. He's like, "Why'd you shoot him in the dick?" He goes, "You wouldn't understand."
Well, we do know Cad Bane. He loves shooting. You kind of do multiple shots. So as we saw
Right.
at the end of this episode. So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But my God, what a quick shot!
and he's working for the Pikes.
Yes. So at the end, so the big thing there. I think it's pretty safe to assume our big and I. So just I'm sorry to circle back and things here to kind of thread the needle a little bit here.
The interesting thing is, like, Cad Bain, really, he's like a bounty hunter. He's not necessarily evil. He's just obviously a bounty hunter. He just does what he does for the money, and he's
Yeah, it
really
follows the
good at.
money.
And he's really, just really, really good at his job.
Absolutely. So with that, I think what we're building to. So again, so a lot of people have been kind of noticing the whole like, okay, so we have 7 episodes and we've dedicated 2 of them now to essentially more so, non Boba Fett related, character development. Which I mean, I think at the end of the day, I thought this was another great episode. My small problem is that it's kind of becoming not Boba Fett's show anymore, but the character reveal at the end, I feel could turn the tide and maybe save that. I'm getting the sense because Cad Bane obviously has a huge connection to Boba Fett's past in many ways, shapes, and forms, and that could be. I think it's kind of the big trump card. Perhaps the season has been holding, and that could salvage things in a big way. Now, again, I'm not saying like perhaps there. A lot of people are hoping for perhaps Omega and the continuation of that story if we do a season 2, which I don't think that'd be a bad idea either. But bare minimum, Cad Bane would be the thing people have been kind of salivating for. Of like, we want to talk about Boba Fett's past because we've seen kind of the past post Sarlacc. We want to kind of like say something about where he was then versus where he is now, because all we've been doing is where he is now, which I've been liking because it's been kind of feeding into what Chris has been saying about the whole, kind of the space Sopranos of it all. Again, I love episode 4 and the whole like he has the sit down Godfather meeting with the Rancor at the bottom of the pit. That was great.
Which I said with my family, and I wasn't here on this because I think I was sick at that time. I was like,
Yeah,
that was such a power move.
it was. It was a great power move.
I think that Cad Bane basically is going to be not the final boss. Like we obviously know there's someone pulling his strings, but
Of course.
he's probably going to be the big physical threat before you get to the monologuer.
Absolutely.
Probably just get shot at the end. Who's not going to pose a physical threat, but is going to say some messed up shit, and then they get put down or they escape to live another day. But I definitely do feel that Cad Bane will be the physical threat.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Crimson Dawn. Probably Kira at this point, given that apparently Darth Maul passed in Rebels, which I have not seen. I've not seen the second half of Rebels where that would have happened, I suppose. But
Sorry, when you said Crimson Dawn, I immediately had like flashbacks of Die Hard. It's like Crimson Dawn. I read about them in Forbes magazine.
God. But anyway, so I think that's probably. I'm leaning towards that being the master manipulator, unless they want to go really out of left field with it was Dengar the whole time or something. Probably not. I'm kidding, but. But here's the thing, though. I do think he's absolutely going to be muscle, but I think the big kind of the personal tie within the muscle, outside of just any shared history, which again they could always bring up, but I think just the immediate thing they're going to bring up.
Who knows? That might be why the Pikes hired him in the first place.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to the Pikes. I'm betting you. Pikes hired Cad Bane to kill the Sand People. Like he's probably been their enforcer for a while. And
that makes sense. But who do you think? Who do you think the one pulling the strings is? It has to be somebody that has some it has to be a fan favorite to make you go, oh damn.
Well, I've been leaning in 2 directions. My instinct is, I think the easiest answer is it's Kira because you have the whole spice running and the Pikes thing, and there was history there. But I think the potentially more interesting way to go is if Omega, Boba Fett's sister from the Bad Batch, is because again that's the character other people have been kind of circling, and also Cad Bane had a run in with her, and I know there's some history there as well. Omega is I think would be the surprising kind of fan favorite pull if they go that direction. Those are the only 2 I can possibly think of to who it could be.
I don't know. I don't think it should be a woman just because that person's going to get executed at the end of the day.
Okay, well, did you have any ideas of who you think it could be?
I don't know. I kind of feel that the way that Favreau and Filoni are playing it as a team, it needs to be somebody who's not just only Clone Wars centric or fringe canon. It needs to be somebody that regular Star Wars fans can identify and go, "Oh shit!" So I'm not 100% sure because I'm not familiar with all the characters, but it needs to be somebody that we need a new Jabba the Hutt. Basically, we need somebody who you want to see just bite it.
Right. Interesting.
I don't think it'd be Moff Gideon. I think he's obviously still being tried for his crimes.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you think he would do well in a mafia style story.
Well, I mean, obviously that actor would, but in terms of Moff Gideon himself, probably not. No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm sorry. For a second there, I was thinking of Tarkin. I don't know why the hell I thought of Tarkin. No, yeah. Gideon also no. He's captured, so he's down and out.
Exactly.
that's why I was saying it wouldn't be Gideon.
If anything, Gideon might pop up again in Mando season 3, but right now,
probably.
I think the big payoff is going to be, hey, the guy who should have paid for his crimes got free somehow. We're not happy about that. That's probably Mando season 3.
Yeah, they're not going to just throw that out as a last minute deal. It needs to be someone who's already a string puller. Basically, you need a kingpin.
Yeah.
So who's the Star Wars kingpin?
Well, again, my instincts would be someone from the Hutt clan who we've already kind of established, but we've already kind of done that. So I don't think that's who the the big cheese is going to be.
Yeah, because you would need somebody who, all right, if you're not showing them by now, that means the second we see them, they have to be so recognizable. You're just like, oh yeah, cool, right?
That it could be just like a setup for the next season once we see it.
I mean, let me ask you this. Okay, we should probably talk about we should probably shift a little bit to kind of some of the other stuff in the episode after this. But let me throw you this. What if it were, I mean, in terms of iconography and someone to be a little bit more recognizable, but someone who might have like a payoff that could kind of parallel the Boba Fett story in a way? What if it were like a Bosk, for example? Like Bosk is like another recognizable bounty hunter. What if it was a story of a guy who climbed up to the very top of kind of a crime syndicate, one could say? Like that would be kind of like if Boba Fett thinks that's kind of what he wants to do. Like here's a guy who's kind of surpassed me and see coming.
Wouldn't he have heard of him already? Wouldn't his name have been made known to anybody who tries anything? The whole point is that when you're dealing with, organized crime, this is all about territory. If you look at Goodfellas, if you look at The Sopranos, if you look at The Godfather, these movies deal with: do you know who I am? Do you know who you're fucking with? And it's that weight of your name and what you carry that creates the mystique about you and whatnot. So Boba Fett would have already been told flat out, this is my territory. If you don't do as I say, you don't pay, your dues, we're going to have trouble. That they would have made their presence known in episode 1. So I'm saying, like, it needs to be someone big. It can't just be like a mysterious character that came out of nowhere to make that aspect of the genre sell.
What if it is like a smaller character that's like somehow that nobody expected? Like,
I feel it's going to piss off people.
I was like, what if it's like a smaller character that like people recognize, but still surprising that they would become the leader of the Pikes.
Oh yeah, it was 3PO the whole time.
Yeah, it was major. It was the major domo. Was that guy?
No. It was Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru. They fucking survived. They faked their deaths and made them just run in spice this whole time.
It's so funny you mentioned it. Like earlier, a couple episodes back, I think we made that Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen faking their death thing. God, it's a running gag. All right, but speaking of Uncle and Aunt Beru, let's talk about their nephew. Let's talk about that Luke Skywalker.
That was a pretty good cameo, but I was a little disappointed in one aspect of it when I found out that they synthesized Mark Hamill's voice 100% digitally, and they didn't even bother to get him in
Okay, this is interesting, Chris. I've heard this in kind of like not a forum, but like there's like this Discord from people. I believe Super Billy, or one of the guys in the audience here, he knows absolutely what I'm talking about. Here is a Discord of people from the Geekvolution YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been expressing a very similar opinion. There's kind of it sounds like there's kind of a fear in the industry of like this could spell the end. If we synthesized that performance, what does it say? So as a filmmaker, Chris, how do you
I
feel
feel
about
that
that?
you should only synthesize a performance when the actor is completely gone, dead, and there's nothing to do about it. Mark Hamill is alive and well. He does voice acting all the time. He's very active in the Star Wars community. He loves Luke. He was just in Mandalorian. He personally knows Filoni and Favreau. There was no need to not get him, at least for the voice. I can understand, we got Shamook and we're going to do new deepfake technology rather than the CGI we did last time. That's understandable, but to not even get him to just do the basis of the voice and then try and mess with it in post, I felt was a little disappointing. Just because he's alive.
Well, Chris, you do remember they did the same tech. Well, again, obviously the deep fake is the whole deep fake thing is different, but
Mm-hmm.
they had Mark Hamill on the set to do the performance, but they did not. They used the archival synthesizer thing, or at
But
least
I'm
some
saying
form
they
of it.
still involved Hamill last time.
So
Did
you're
they?
saying he should have been on the set at
He should
least,
have
or
been
they
on the
should have.
set. He should have
Okay.
somehow been there to influence or whatever. I just feel that would have been the kosher thing to do in this scenario, rather than just to say, "Hey, stay home. We're good without you." I think that's the insult here. I understand, like with with Tarkin, it was not Peter O'Toole. What's the actor's name? Was it Peter O'Toole?
That's the thing. I could have sworn it
It
was
wasn't
Peter.
Peter O'Toole.
Wait. Oh yeah,
It
you're
was
right. It wasn't Peter O'Toole. It was Peter Cushing. Peter
Thank
Cushing.
you,
That's what
Peter
it was.
Cushing.
Yes.
Cushing had been dead for what, like almost 20 years by that point. So it makes absolute sense that they're going to get someone. And now they obviously had an actor impersonate him rather than synthesize his voice. But, he wasn't alive to consult or anything. That makes absolute sense. But if Mark Hamill is alive, well, living in California, no less, and he's just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, oh, nothing, Mark. We're cool. What do you want? Like, let the man in. Give the man a couple of bucks. He deserves it.
And Chris, I hear what you're saying, but wouldn't the results have been essentially the same, though? I mean, basically, it would have been proper to get his blessing and just to kind of involve him more. But I mean,
I
roughly,
think
it's the.
I don't know.
He probably still got paid anyway. I mean, his name is credited in the episode.
If he got paid, then okay. I'm not gonna get him on that as long as the man got paid.
Yeah, I'm sure the man got paid. It was a question of like
I'm
him
looking at
being
this
on
from
the
the
set.
perspective that he didn't get paid. If that is not the case, then fine.
I mean, I'm not saying he did or didn't get paid. I mean, because obviously, I don't know. But what I'm saying is like he is at least credited, so
It stands to reason that he most likely got paid, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't do the finances.
Fine. That aside, I feel that with the synthesized voice, though, it still comes out flat and monotone in certain areas when it shouldn't, and that's because the computer isn't able to completely mimic inflection. It may get the tone, but there are parts where I was like, oh, why did he say it like that? And I'm like, oh, it's a robot. But like when he's talking to Grogu and he's giving him, these decisions to make, these are moments where he should be speaking very softly and very compassionately, and the machine was not capable of replicating compassion. So I feel that was a disservice to the performance of the character as a whole. And you may have done better having Mark say those lines and then trying to digitally alter his voice to sound younger, and then just using parts of that at least.
Well, we're not. It's not. We're not disagreeing with you there. We're just pointing out the whole credit thing.
Oh no, I'm past the credit part now. Now I'm talking about the actual performance.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with you on that entirely.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It does. There is an element that does sound kind of strung together in terms of what they could grab from other interviews and everything, and compiling whatever algorithm or such that thing works.
But then again, that kind of performance is consistent with the original trilogy.
like you could. I mean, I think you could possibly make the argument with kind of how it is conveyed. I think I guess the way I just kind of look at it is, it's Luke following the Jedi, the whole Jedi thing, to a T, is kind of like you are kind of divorcing yourself from the human connection and everything, which is kind of the point of like Mando's arc in the story here, where he has to learn, the kid has to make the big Jedi choice, which is you abandon all the attachments, or you don't become a Jedi. And I think what I like to think that we're kind of hinting at here, and what we're building to with Grogu. So they keep wanting to say Baby Yoda on instinct, which it is Baby Yoda. We're all good. He's going to Baby Yoda in our hearts, but also Grogu. Point being, I think where the Grogu story is.
You could also call him just the kid.
Yeah, the kid, what have you. I think what the kid's story is building to is that he's going to take the path kind of like Ahsoka did, where Ahsoka was a Jedi, but then she kind of ultimately abandoned that order, and she kind of walks both worlds. Or it's kind of like
Well, I had seen some really good fan art actually of a grown-up Grogu where he is in Mandalorian armor, but he's still a Jedi, and he basically gives this philosophy of what being a true Jedi is, where the reason why most Jedi feel you don't need to have connection to anything is because connections to stuff lead to fear. The fear of losing it. Once you accept that death is part of life, you can let go of things when they come and go into your life. And being a Jedi is just acknowledging that balance, that life and death go hand in hand. Anakin couldn't do that, and now Luke is going the exact opposite direction, saying, well, I'm going to be like a pure Jedi. And it's like, no, balance.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of interesting if, they both Mando and this episode talked about the Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting if, just by sheer adoption, that Grogu himself becomes the next Mandalorian Jedi.
So that's what I'm saying. Sorry.
No, I was going to say he should be at this point, just because I think fusing the two beliefs creates a transcendence as opposed to one or the other.
What if he somehow ends up with the dark saber?
I mean, he'd have to win it.
I wonder if the holder dies, who goes to who? Who does it go to next?
Well, whoever killed him.
No, I mean, if he just dies of the wielder dies of natural causes.
Probably then it would be inherited, I'm assuming. Or maybe there'd be a challenge, like the saber would be there and then two people would have to challenge it.
That sounds about right. I could buy that. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately where Mando, again, there's a lot of question will Mando just fully end at season 3 or whatever is going to happen. Let's just say, for argument's sake, for a complete story, Mando season 3, let's just say for the Din Djarin, Grogu story, that's the end of it there. If that is the end, I think what the big story that we're building to with that is, it's Grogu becoming the thing we haven't had since, I forget, what is it, 1,000 years or so, where you had the wielder and the creator of the Darksaber, who was part Jedi, part Mandalorian, and you had, again, basically Grogu achieving that balance, and as well as Din Djarin kind of achieving a balance of which kind of side of Mandalorian does he err on, the Bo-Katan side or the Death Watch side, is it
Atomic Beast here is raising a good point, though.
Yeah.
Mandalorians hating Jedi is hypocrisy. After all, they worship a weapon belonging to a Jedi.
So I'm loving all the ideology stuff that we've been bringing up between these last two episodes. The whole thing of, we had a bit where, Ahsoka's pointing out. Well, basically, we point, I believe, between Ahsoka and Mando, and I think Ahsoka and Luke, we have kind of a line, something along the lines of, and sorry, the recap with the armor from last episode. We basically established that the Jedi and the Mandalorians are in complete contrast with each other with their beliefs, and it's about loyalty and about attachment versus the disattachment. And I like that we're bringing all that up, and I like that but Mando's response to Ahsoka saying, "Hey, he should. What if he's a Padawan now?" And just Mando accepts that. He just says, "Well, regardless, he should be protected, because he does care about him. He doesn't care if he doesn't. Well, he's not forcing the kid to become, Mandalorian, but whatever it is, he just wants that kid to be safe, because that's the attachment and kind of it's shaped who he's become. It's shaping his arc and kind of where he's going to with all that. So I thought I've been really liking that with kind of our splintering from.
Do you feel by chance that this is going to retcon the recent trilogy?
So far, no, I haven't seen anything that's really kind of spelling out a big
Well, I
retcon
feel
for
well,
me.
we're kind of reaching that fork in the road with the Jedi Academy that Luke is creating, and if Grogu it remains a part of it, there's no way in hell that Ben Solo is going to be able to kill him.
Right.
But if he goes his own way, then all right, you can kind of still have shit play out. But do you think that they're going to just say, screw it all together? There's no Ben Solo in this story.
Okay, well, let me tell you where I think that what the deal with that is. So, first and foremost, I think at the end of the episode, the fork in the road that the choice that we present to the child is it's I think it's very obvious, just given what we set up, like with Mando's new ship and everything. It's custom built to fit in a baby Yoda. So I am convinced. Like that's the thing. I like the dramatic, kind of framing of that choice, but I think it's very apparent. Of course, he's not going to go with the Jedi. I mean, maybe if we're lucky, he'll be able to take the lightsaber with him. Highly
He can always
doubtful.
come back when they're dead. He'll be like, what, 20?
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. That's so eventually, that's what I'm saying. We're kind of again with the whole. There's so much of this episode is kind of a love letter in a really nice way to the full circle thing of like, hey, Yoda trained Luke, and now Luke's training, essentially, the younger Yoda to a degree, like another of Yoda's species. So I think that's really cute and kind of full circle. And we've kind of presented the whole like, go back to your friends or stay here and become a Jedi. I think it's going to probably parallel that as well, where Baby Yoda's going to know he's going to go help his friend. He's going to go, or he's going to pick the path of the Mandalorian, at least on the way to finding his own path, whatever that may be. So I think it's very obvious he's going to be in that ship with Mando. Why else construct it that way?
His little chainmail was so cute, though.
It was cute. Now, in regards to the whole the sequel trilogy thing, I mean, so far, because of that, I don't think we're gonna have to. I think that's the only path they're really. In part, I think it's the only path they're going to be able to take, because of just kind of we visually frame that, but also it just feels like I don't think we're ever going to have to worry about seeing Luke build the Jedi Academy unless they take the full plunge, which a lot of people have been talking about. Like let's just cast Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. Which, honestly, just on principle, I kind of want this going forward because I really want to see that happen. I like
Do you
Sebastian
think that
Stan.
in any way casting Sebastian Stan is like, okay, obviously, he looks the part and everything, but going from the computer generated young Luke Skywalker to Sebastian Stan, would that naturally work?
If Luke is going to ever graduate into like a starring role or kind of a bigger player, they can't just keep using the effect. Like if they're using like
Absolutely.
a cameo capacity, they can get away with it. But if you would give him like a full role, you're gonna have to, they'd have to get an actor, preferably Sebastian Stan,
Right, but do
who
you
was
think
open to it.
that they will actually go that route, or they're going to just keep Luke doing what he's doing now?
I mean, right now, all I can see coming is he's going to pop up in the Ahsoka show, which again could ideally that would be the turning point. They're going to take a stance and like, okay, Sebastian Stan. But if they did give Luke his own show, if they gave Luke his own show, that basically would be their way of like again saying whether or not they're just going forward with him building the academy or just full on saying, yeah, mea culpa, we're gonna try again, but we're gonna use a slightly older Luke that basically would be their excuse for okay, so a little bit more time has passed, and that's how we're getting not old man Luke, but just like so we can have Sebastian
I think
justify
that it
the
would be economical at this point for them to cut their losses with the new trilogy. Say it's an alternate timeline or something like that, and because you can't do a Luke Skywalker centric show and not have him going into battle. That's going to get boring really fast. You need adventures, and if he's just training young Jedi's, this isn't the Karate Kid, okay? This isn't Cobra Kai. You can't keep it ground level like that for a character like Luke. So
Yeah.
What they should do if they were smart is they get Mark Hamill to narrate and maybe do cutaways to him as an old man Luke talking about adventures that he did in Sebastian Stan's doing the part or something.
That's not a bad pitch. Now I do concur. Ultimately, I think I concur with Super Billy. I'm sorry, Jake. Did you want to weigh in?
No, I'm just saying we should probably get back to the topic of the episode.
Yes, we should. Okay, real quick. Let me bring up Super Billy's thing, and then we'll circle back and see. We should probably talk about like stuff like Cad Bain and stuff real quick. I ultimately I think I concur with Super Billy and to the where he's saying there's no retconning the sequels. I think ultimately I don't think they're going to retcon the sequels. I think it's them having it. That's a stance I don't think they're going to be willing to take, even though I think they really want to. I don't think it's going to happen personally, and I don't think it's like for me personally, I like the Luke stuff in the sequel trilogy because I loved Mark Hamill's performance in those films, and I that never really bothered me like how people said this is how Luke should be, or this is like how that we believe that character is, we should have done with this character, not because I still felt those scenes the way he played it and kind of the way that story went out, and if anyone didn't like it, then Rise for the Mark Hamill scenes we did get, where it's like the only scenes I liked in the Rise of Skywalker, I really liked. Okay, we brought it back a little. He was kind of changed by his experience with Rey, and it's like he's a little more chipper about things. And you're like, this is not how we treat a Jedi weapons. Like she showed me the light. Okay.
And Mark himself did, and Mark himself liked the movies overall too.
All right, so I guess
believe it or not, despite what the internet likes to believe, he actually did like them once he actually realized what was going on.
Okay, let me ask you something in relation to the episode. Do you guys think our tease at the Grogu origin, him being traumatized from Order 66 and everything, repressing his Jedi prowess, perhaps, or some of his memories? I speculate Obi-Wan saved him, and perhaps that's going to be their way of kind of squeezing Grogu into the Obi-Wan series coming this May. Do you guys concur with that, or do you just have any thoughts on the origin in general that we saw?
Is it actually coming this May? Or
yeah, I'm pretty sure they've announced it. It kind of leaked that, yeah, it's happening in May, and with May the 4th, I think that makes sense.
Well, first off, how many years have passed since Order 66? Because Grogu's 50, so how many years have passed?
Okay, let's see. So Order 60. Okay, so Luke is 20, and at the end of Episode 3, so that's 20 years. Basically, it's 20 years before New Hope when Order 66 happens.
May 4th is on a Wednesday this year. So that's a perfect launch date then.
So that's what we're looking at, Chris. So it's 20 years.
So it's been. So how old is Luke supposed to be now? Because I'm clocking him at like 35.
So in A New Hope, Luke's 19 specifically. I may have just
well, I know but how old is he supposed to be in this current timeline with Mandalorian and Boba Fett?
Okay, so that's Boba. Okay, so Mando's 5 years. There might have been like an extra year tacked on between well, no, it might be right after. I'm not sure, but at least 5 years. Then you add on like the 3. I'm ballparking here. I want to say the whole trilogy and Mando is 10 years total, like from New Hope to the end of Mando season 2, roughly 10 years.
So 10 years, and
could be 9, but let's say 10.
Okay, and Order 66 was 20 years before New Hope.
Yes, like 19 to 20 years before.
All right, so you're looking at 30 to 35 years, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Okay, so at best, I mean, yeah, you could say that maybe Obi-Wan, saved him and kept him somewhere for 20 years. I guess it could work. But seeing as how when we met Grogu, he was really traumatized and repressing his memories, you'd think Obi-Wan would have had the ability to, clean him up mentally in those 20 years.
I was just figuring that he dropped him off somewhere. I wasn't really thinking he was, but it's a good point you're making, though. Is that I probably would have given the kid a little more care. That's the thing with a retroactive edition like that, where now we have like extra things to kind of figure out there, versus like, okay, I'm just going to focus on this Luke boy and kind of watch him from a distance, which essentially is what I'm assuming what that show is going to be to a degree.
Yeah, because what was this baby doing for 35 years basically? Because he's still a baby. And you're saying he basically looked the same 35 years ago. So would he not have had enough time to mentally get over the events from 35 years ago?
Well, I mean, he does mature slowly, and he's still a child.
That's the thing. He also might. That's the interesting thing.
Well, he's learning the Force really fast, so.
Well, as Luke even himself pointed out, it's like maybe I'm not teaching him; he's just remembering.
Yeah, it's like remembering the skills of old to a degree. So,
but again, what was he doing for those 35 years?
No, you're right. That is an excellent question. I mean, I think perhaps the simplest answer is maybe Yoda somehow saved the kid, but then that brings up, I'm sure, a whole new litany of questions. So these are things.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a wait and see, but I'm just wondering if for synergy's sake, we found an excuse to work into this episode to a degree. Let's be honest.
Probably best not to question any of it.
So I guess my bigger point, just to get on the episode as a whole, is that as much as I do like this episode, there is an element I can't shake that it does feel like, hey, we're setting up some of our other Star Wars shows here.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what every corporation does now with their spin-offs. They have grouping episodes and crossovers, so they can go into sequels and spin-offs. I mean, that's kind of the new norm, and I definitely do believe that it kind of started with, or it really got mainstreamed with the CW. They were shameless about that with roping in new shows with these crossover events.
And okay, perhaps we should like streamline a bit and move on to other stuff in the episode.
Yes, we should. So, Cad Bain's back, man. I'm sorry, Jake. Go on. What do you want us to talk about next?
I'm saying as much as we can speculate, if we speculate, we'll be here for like 2 more hours.
That is very true. So, I mean, what do you think? The simplest thing is Cad Bain kind of brings us back to the Cad Bain stuff. You want to go there?
Yeah, Cad Bain. It was nice to see Timothy Oliphant again.
Yeah, I really liked that character, and I liked, I liked him like watching over the town, like how he kind of has that little spice run at the top, and I love that especially on the rewatch of the episode, you see that he knows after that run, the initial run with the Pikes, these guys are going to be trouble. So when Mando shows up later, and I love their dynamic after their encounter in season 2 of Mandalorian, where they're kind of familiar with each other. The whole like, hey, where's the kid? We both kind of lost something, didn't we?
And he's like, how are you without the armor? He's like, more careful.
Yeah, good lines, man. I love that. Oliphant is just born to play a cowboy, and he plays it so well.
Oh, he's pretty much just harkening back to Justified, as so easy for him.
I know, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's good. If he's good at what he does, why not?
He graduated from cowboy to space cowboy.
Pretty much.
Cowboys and aliens.
Am I the only one who keeps like thinking of doing every time someone mentions fucking spice?
Honestly, no, because I was super distanced from doing until the new movie came around. So I do not have that.
Literally up until the last couple of episodes, I've never really heard spice being mentioned in anything Star Wars related. When did this happen?
Well, spice was kind of I believe it was mentioned in Clone Wars.
Okay, so like
I believe like Hondo like smuggled spice a bit of times too.
I forget if they mentioned it in the original. They might have mentioned it in A New Hope. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I know, like, obviously in the Solo movie, it kind of came back in a big way. And yeah, through Clone Wars here and there. But yeah, that's as much spice as I can recall. So
I think Hondo ran some spice in Clone Wars.
Yeah. I think that's what got Han in trouble with Jabba, the whole spice run thing. But I could be wrong.
And speaking of which, I hope that, if anything, I hope this whole spice stuff kind of ties into Hondo.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see Hondo again.
Oh, of course. He's my hope for maybe a Mando season 3 as well. We can find a way to squeeze Hondo. Maybe that's the next Filoni episode. If he directs again, it's going to be Hondo. He's bringing him in.
They need to get Jim Cummings for the voice, of course.
If they got, come on, ultimately, Jacob, this confirms it. If they got Corey Burton to come back and voice Cad Bain, how the heck do they not get Jim Cummings to play the voice Hondo?
That is a good. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but yeah, the spice. Yeah, obviously, I think the spice does originate in Dune, but then that might just be like more like Star Wars pulling elements from other sci-fi.
No, it totally is. But like, do you think at all that this is a confirmation that Dune and Star Wars are in the same universe, just thousands of years apart?
I mean, I'm saying not remotely, but it's a fun thought.
I mean, the Sarlacc looks a lot like those giant sandworms. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's like stuck in the ground, though. It's like it's not.
It doesn't look like a giant anus, but still.
Yeah, the Dune worms are like much bigger than the Sarlacc.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. The Dune worms are giant anuses with teeth.
Yeah, but I was like, it's a fun theory, and and sometimes playing crossovers is fun, but. And I wouldn't really buy into that outside of the whole fun factor.
Yeah.
All right. So But anyways.
And I don't think Cobb Vanth is dead yet.
Oh no, that's the thing. I mean, he was shot in the shoulder. The deputy's dead as a doornail, though. We know that. He had dead written on his forehead when he was back talking Mando.
That idiot just fucking walked out. He's like, "Someone need to get shot. I'll get shot." Someone want to shoot me? I'll shoot myself, bro.
Hey, we need a laser bullet shield here. Is anyone available?
You can tell that even when the deputy, we didn't even learn the deputy's name. I don't think the deputy came out. Even Cad Bain was like, "Oh God."
The moment he said, "Hey, the sheriff ain't for sale," it's like, "Hey, you're not helping."
You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of in Expendables 2 when Liam Hemsworth was talking in his like one scene on the chopper, and he's talking about how he has like all this amazing stuff to live for at home, and he can't wait to get back at home and like his wife and then his like newborn baby, and then Jean-Claude Van Damme roundhouse kicks a giant knife into his chest and he's dead. Yeah.
Is it supposed to be darkly humorous?
He was.
The point was, it's that joke of, man, I just can't wait to ride my boat into the sunset. My boat's called Everything to Live For, and then that guy dies. That's what that deputy reminded me of. It's just like, man, I just can't wait to go to everything I have to live for university and go to my future home to my future wife and all that. It's going to be amazing. Oh, shit, I'm dead. I never saw it coming.
The citizens of Freetown are pretty interesting people, though, too.
Yeah, I like that. They kind of had their fight already. They're kind of used to, like, it's not our problem. Like, we're, the people of Freetown were very far removed from Mos Eisley. And by the way, this the call out of like the kind of like the cities and kind of the the different places of Tatooine at the top there. And Mos Eisley, let's be honest, there's no laws there. It's kind of like Vance just kind of running down like, yeah, I'm just going to assume you guys are lost for the time being. But yeah, the people of Freetown, they paid their dues, and it's like, you know what, we don't have to worry about it. That's city folk trouble. That's not our problem.
I feel like it's about to become their problem.
And I love that Vance. This is what I mean. I love that Vance kind of saw that at the opening. He kind of knew it, and that's why he's hearing Mando out, but he's just kind of shooting him down like we don't want to get involved in that. But he knows. He's kind of giving them the hard sell to a degree. We're like, yeah, I want to make it clear that we don't want to do this, but ultimately he knows, like, I'm just gonna gather the townspeople, I'm gonna tell them the reality, and I mean, most likely they're gonna say yes.
It's like playing hard to get.
Exactly,
and especially now that Cad Bain's here, it's like he kind of dragged them into it.
Yeah, Bain definitely solidifies. Oh yeah, we found our foot soldiers. We found our support with the marshal. I think we're good here. He's gonna be a little shoulder shy, but he'll be back.
So yeah, it's like if he wasn't gonna do it because Mando said so, if the Cad Bain's gonna shoot him, it's like, yeah, we're in it now.
And again, such a great reintroduction for Cad Bain, and again the big prize fight just being kind of set up. Yeah, I love it.
Just walking in the desert as the heat like warps his appearance. Like you don't know, you can't tell who it is. But then when you see the hat and then the blue skin and the voice, you're like, it's Cad Bain.
I love that he goes out of his way not to say his name, like the whole stick.
He doesn't need to. He's the man with no name.
Yes, I know, it's great.
The Cad Bain with no names.
Yes.
even though that is his name.
Yeah.
That sounded so much better in my head.
Yep, give Boba Fett.
You merely adopted the spice. I was born into it, molded by it.
God, it's great. At some point in time, there's like some convention or some like fun video, like he's been asked to do, like at a convention somewhere. Someone's asked him to do like Bane lines as Cad Bain, Corey Burton. That has to have happened at least once. That was like the only thing I was thinking of when I saw him pop up in Clone Wars. Like, man, they get some Bane gags there.
Yes.
All right, so Jacob, I think what we should do now is we should come over the comments, see if there's anything pertinent that we have not talked about yet, and then probably just kind of try to bring it home. Because I think we've talked about all the major stuff.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any really major comments that like talk about stuff we haven't discussed yet. I did like Ahsoka's interaction with Luke.
Yeah. So, I really love the whole you're so much like your father, and the fact that assumedly she's. It's like there's a pride and there's a nostalgia for the similarities, kind of the old simpler times with Luke, with Luke, the kind of reference her dynamic with Anakin. That's kind of nice.
She definitely knew his father quite well.
That she did. I really love just Luke just very much. I mean, again, as much performance as you can get from kind of a synthesized voice, mind you. But I did like the moment where it was like, so just Luke just kind of going for broke. You're saying, what do I do? And her advice is like, trust your instincts. Just like essentially do what you feel is right. Which of course classic kind of a Yoda pull. It's like it was a really cool way to. Honestly, the biggest kick I've gotten out of these Star Wars shows, I mean, for as far as Filoni goes, he's been able to kind of bring his show into kind of live action in a really unique way, and be able to kind of bridge the gaps between those generations, like people have kind of speculated for many years. I thought that's kind of something really special, and it's kind of nice that we got to see like these two characters inhabit the same space, and kind of an impossible way, but it's kind of been able to do that in live action. It's pretty impressive.
I think the only thing that it's kind of missing at this point is the visual aesthetic, the cinematic visual aesthetic that's associated with certain genres. Like, they nailed the Western aspect, which was not hard because most of this is in the desert.
Yeah.
But I think for Boba Fett, it would have really benefited from trying to recapture some of like Scorsese's style. Specifically when at that cantina. That cantina should have felt like something at a casino.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a mob element at the end of this episode when we blow it up. We do kind of the Pikes stopping by, the helmet, like they don't want their helmets cleaned, and Garza's place blows up. I wonder if Garza's dead or not. I don't know how big a blast that was. I'm gonna guess no, but I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, for that, and also the other thing that was a huge letdown to me was that silly bike chase that was so low stakes.
You mean like episode 3, right? With the mobs?
Yeah, the speeder bike.
No one loves that scene at all. I mean,
it was so slow. I could get out and run faster than that.
The problem for me, here's the thing: I like that chase, but I think it goes on way too long. It overstays its welcome, and to me. Did you feel they only had that in there because they did their climax up front?
It was basically a Star Wars version of a low-speed chase.
That's what I'm saying. It was they were not going faster than 50 miles an hour. I'm telling you right now, speed was faster than that.
Yeah.
And so like that bothered me. But I'm saying like,
which is a shame because like it had like one of the whole train robbery was like one of the best action scenes in Star Wars.
Yeah, the train robbery was fantastic. It definitely even rivals stuff from The Mandalorian, like the escape scene where they were making that run in that truck.
Oh yeah.
That was a great scene too. But the train scene was fantastic. So like, I feel that the only thing it's really missing at this point is the cinematic aesthetic that's associated with the genre that it's trying to live in. And I really think it could benefit from that, making certain elements visually darker, having everything just being so bright, like the cantina being very bright, where Boba Fett's Jabba the Hutt's mansion being so bright. I don't think that works. Now I get it. Boba Fett's a noble character, and he's still a leader, and he's ruthless, and all those things. But you kind of need to go dark if you're going to tell a gangster story, which I really want them to lean more into the gangster element of this to fully separate it from The Mandalorian, so it doesn't feel like a Mandalorian ripoff.
Yeah, we gotta get another scene kind of like feels like that sit down scene, right?
Yeah.
We
definitely have to have like a Godfather style sit down scene where people are just throwing their weight around. Like, okay, when Mandalorian shows up in the previous episode and he's in that meat locker.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant sequence onto its own.
It was.
It was dark. It was gritty. And even for it being, in space with everything being all gunmetal and silver and shiny, visually, it worked. It's like this could almost be a Batman in the future type story. This could be Batman Beyond. So it's like it's clearly not something that they can't do. It's not something that they're like, oh, we don't know how to pull it off. No, you've done it already. Do more of that.
For basically the Mando, the scene it was just like, yep, he's back.
And it was a fantastic scene, but now imagine doing that. I feel like Johnny Storm right now. Imagine that, but all over.
That's a good pull. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we decapitated a guy in that scene. We got away with it.
And it wasn't like a fast one, too. He sawed his head off.
Yeah, he cut his body in half, then he cut his head off. So it's like that's just like one.
But again, the sawing of the head part wasn't just like a fast one, like woof, you blink and you miss it. It was here comes the blade, It's on. It's on. It's on. Thunk.
Yeah.
And they even showed the wound in close-up detail too.
Yeah. And of course you
So-
get away with it because it's green blood.
They should really just lean into those
But-
elements when you're dealing with these anti-heroes.
I meant the wound on Mando's leg.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
pretty bad too. Yeah.
And Mando doesn't have green blood.
No. I'm sorry. I know he doesn't. I meant like the decapitated heads, like bleeding through the bag. It was green blood. But sure.
Yeah, they just can get quite graphic.
Yeah.
You should do that more of that, though. I think that's okay. Because who are you making this for? Are you making this for kids again? Or are you actually making it for the adults that grew up and want to see this expanded? Because the children will buy it regardless, because the parents are going to give it to them regardless. But, one thing we've learned is that when you try to make Star Wars exclusively for children, it kind of doesn't do well.
Right. Let's see. Is there Super Billy said something here. I think we'll probably just bring it to a close. Super Billy said, agreed, but Disney or Favreau and Filoni or both won't let that happen. This is something that he says I broached before. They can't have a straight up villain or anti-hero be the protagonist. Trying to think of.
Well, Boba Fett was pretty much a villain, and now he's a protagonist.
Yeah. I think he's. Sorry, I think I read like the end of the quote there, so it's buoy on me. Sorry. Let's see. He says, if the man with no name was completely evil scumbag, as opposed to a morally ambiguous anti-hero, basically in reference to Cad Bain is like the man with no name. The whole thing there. Right. I think ultimately, I think what Super might be referring to is basically I've been having this issue with some of the Disney stuff, like when they did like the Cruella movie, for example, where you had the you have its fact, why can't we can't have a villain as our protagonist. For some reason we have to soften her so much by the end. We can't like have her be full tilt what she originally was in the byproduct. I don't know if maybe that's what he's referring to, or if he specifically meant during this podcast. Sorry about that, Super Billy. He does question how many kids are actually watching Disney Plus Star Wars, which, I mean, honestly, with the Baby Yoda factor, I mean, that's the thing. I think that's kind of the race in the hole with the kids, ultimately, with the Mando of it all. I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's obviously kids watching stuff, and there's stuff marketed for children and everything. But at the end of the day, you really think your kid's gonna want to sit down and watch like these philosophical scenes between Luke and Grogu, or Boba Fett talking about how he wants to ride a fucking Rangor? No, they want to see the action sequences. So I'm saying, like, those parts are for the adults, and if you're going to do those scenes for the adults, lean into it.
Right.
Like a Sorry.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
I mean, they don't have cursing, so we already got that taken care of. They don't have to worry about bullets. Everyone has a damn laser.
We have Dank Ferrick. That's the word. As bad as it gets.
Well, actually, they had a bit of cursing in this. They've said
no, they don't. They don't have like actual English cursing. They have space cursing, which is okay.
I've heard stuff, but like no like hardcore thing.
I've heard hell and damn at least.
Yeah, that's as bad.
Yeah, no, but that's the extent of it. You don't hear ass, shit, fuck. You don't hear any of that.
Well, I don't think we're gonna.
We don't go the full Carlin.
Well, I don't think we're gonna hear fucking a Disney show.
Exactly. Well, so I'm saying they already have themselves covered in that respect because they don't have cursing, they don't have bullets. So
at least unless you're called the Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you watch that, that's full of them cursing.
It's really weird how that works ultimately with censorship. But we're not here to talk about all that censorship. But yeah, it's like, honestly, Chris, at the end of the day, what I'd like to think is that perhaps we can have both of those things that's going to kind of be kind of appeal to. I'd like to think we're going to treat the kids kind of like adults to an extent where it is something made for people who are going to care about.
I view it as the Batman in the animated series. I think that's the perfect way to go. You know, it's made for kids, but we're not treating the kids like kids.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so Chris, unless there's anything else you wanted to mention from the episode, I think we'll probably round it up.
I'm good. I wonder if they're gonna make my fan film irrelevant now or non-canon.
Well, so far you're still in the game, buddy.
I'm still in the game. I think Obi-Wan is probably gonna kill me.
Well, we'll find out in May, I guess.
Right?
Oh, and Super clarifies. I meant that Disney sensibilities don't always allow for a Tony Soprano-esque Boba Fett.
Well, you don't need a Boba Fett to be a full-on Tony Soprano type character, but in the sense of he's the mobster, he is the man in charge. You know, there's only so many gangster characters that you can think of, and Tony is definitely at the top of that list.
Oh, Tony, Don Corleone, Michael Corleone.
Yeah, think of someone beyond that.
Let's see.
Exactly.
Wait, I'm sorry. We just naming anti-heroes or specifically mobsters?
Well, famous mob characters. You got the ones
Scarface.
that have lasted longer. Like, I mean, you could say Scarface, but he was a one and done movie, and you know that was the story of an epic fall from grace. But like Corleone was a famous character who lasted. Michael lasted through 3 films. You have again Tony, who had his entire show. There's not a whole lot of other characters out there.
I mean, again, I don't know if this would necessarily fit the mobster thing because it's more of a cartel thing, but I mean, you could. Well, I mean, again, it's kind of it's roughly the same thing. You could say like a Gus Fring, but still, the point being, there's not many.
Basically, if you go into like one of those stupid tchotchke stores and you buy a poster of all the famous mob characters on there, you know, those are the people we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
Who's front and center?
gotcha. Fair point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, let me thank our special guest again. Thank you very much for joining us for our discussion. Hopefully, you got some stuff out of it, Chris. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you. I did.
Awesome. I want to thank our lovely commenters. Sorry we didn't get to everything, folks. We basically, and I saw there was like a lively discussion amongst yourselves going on. Didn't want to be rude and interject. So hope that went well. And again, we seem to have kind of covered the stuff that has been brought up. But again, we'll we try to get in as much as we can. Of course, there's Tiki in the comments. Beyond that, we have Super Billy. We got Atomic Beast. And and hopefully anyone watching this in the aftermath, you share your thoughts by all means. All right, so that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano, just Plus and us.
Yes.
Cad Bain.
I am Cad Bain.